Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. We're here for round 2 of Ferrari Challenge North America. My name's Andrew Cody. This is Tony Villander. I'm so excited to be here. This incredible, legendary venue, Daytona 500, Daytona 24. It's such a different place to Sonoma. Sonoma was a real roller coaster. Obviously here, the thing that sticks out the most is the bank bends. What's the challenge going to be for the drivers?
Yeah, for us Europeans, when we come over here, first of all, like you said, the banking, the NASCAR character of the track, very high-speed nature. Then it's some difficulties how to set up the car, how to get your driving right. We have the infield, but you still need to kill the opponents on the high-speed section. There's few key corners, the turn 6 bus stop, which we will mention throughout the weekend, but this is something special. I've raced here a few times in Daytona 24. It's the opening of the season, and it's a special place. You can feel the history here.
Yeah, absolutely amazing track. We saw some brilliant battles in Sonoma. Going to be fascinating to see if the same drivers who conquered that track are going to be at the top of the timesheets here. Brilliant day to go racing in Daytona.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to round 2 of the Ferrari Challenge North America from Daytona. We are getting ourselves ready for the first race of the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are able, please stand and remove your hats for the presentation of colours by the Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University Air Force ROTC Detachment 157 Soaring Eagles and the Soaring Eagles Honour Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stephen Mumbert, who will sing the Italian national anthem, Brothers of Italy, and the Star-Spangled Banner.
Fratelli d'Italia, Italia seresta, dell'elmo ricipio, se cinta la testa, dove la vittoria le coma la chioma, vestita Dio la chiamo. Fratelli d'Italia, l'Italia se desta, che l'elmo di Scipio se cinta la testa, dove la vittoria le porga la chioma, che schiava di Roma e Dio la creò. Scriviamoci a corte, siamo pronti alla morte, l'Italia chiamò. Stringiamoci a corte, siamo pronti alla morte, l'Italia chiamò. Sì. The dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Fantastic performance there from Stephen Mumbert. Wonderful to see everybody on their feet and getting ourselves ready for some racing action here at Daytona. Temperatures are up. There's people chasing each other around on the grid. Look, the banter is high. I think the atmosphere down there looks like a lot of fun. Time to get those race suits on last minute if possible, of course, because it is hot, and wearing a race suit is like wearing ski underwear and then putting a duffel coat on over the top of it. That's roughly what it's like if you've never done it. Our wonderful flag bearers heading up the road, and here is a beautiful look at Daytona, which of course is our second venue of the year. We started back at the start of March at Sonoma Raceway over in California, now Daytona International Speedway just down the road to Miami Autodrome in a few weeks' time, then Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Brickyard, Watkins Glen International, and the final round in the US of A is back to California for Laguna Seca, before those drivers who are in championship contention will head, of course, to Mugello for the end of the season. What a brilliant venue to go racing at. As I say, this is a legendary venue, and here's a very quick look. We'll run you through in more detail in a moment. That's the track outline. Of course, the speedway around the outside. The infield was added later, and the track itself was built in 1959. Chicane up at the back straight just to slow things down into turn 12, and it is still very, very fast. That chicane was added in 1973, but with the technology we've got in these incredible Ferrari Challenge cars, we can hit nearly 190 miles an hour, even with the chicane before turn 12. Brilliant qualifying session earlier on today. Didn't have anybody with any problems at all, and as you can see, the temperatures are much higher. Not as hot as yesterday. Air temperature yesterday was up in the high 20s, but the track temperature at 32 degrees Celsius is definitely warmer than it was this morning during qualifying. Some of our top drivers here in Trofeo Pirelli were very careful to do the minimum amount of laps they possibly could and save as much of that fantastic Pirelli rubber for the race as possible. So Tony Villander is alongside me. My name's Andrew Coley. Tony, it's great to have you back here with Ferrari Challenge North America. You said about qualifying earlier, it was a great performance. It is tight at the top.
It is tight at the top. I had a quick visit in the paddock. The atmosphere felt like concentrated but calm. Teams were deciding the final preparations for the race. One of the key things to decide is the tire pressures for this 30-minute race. So a lot of cars on track. Turn 1 will be always exciting. The top speeds here are very high, almost 200 miles per hour, but top speeds during the practice with a little bit of slipstream. So a lot of concentration for that opening lap.
Very, very much looking forward to seeing what happens on the run into turn 1. Just a few minutes away before we get the cars out onto the track. Of course, this is round 2 of Ferrari Challenge in North America. We had a brilliant weekend to kick off the season back at Sonoma. And prior to the racing there, we were treated to quite the show. Let's take a look back. So there we are, the cars are on the grid and good to go. The atmosphere down there will be fantastic, and for us to pick up a little bit of that atmosphere, we are, of course, joined by the fantastic Nina Jade Paul. Nina Jade, how are things down on the grid?
You absolutely nailed it, Andrew. The atmosphere is electric. Everyone is buzzing to get going down here. Daytona represents one of the most thrilling and demanding tracks on the calendar. It's absolutely amazing. And whilst overtaking is possible here, it heavily depends on exit speed, strategy, and sheer confidence. Best places to overtake are going to be down into turn 1, the bust up chicane if you're able to get a nice toe, and if you're feeling brave, on turns 5 and 6, if you're able to force the drivers in front of you into an error. Also, given the long straights, the slipstream is extremely effective here. So drivers need to make use of that if they're able to get close enough to the cars in front to gain the benefit. Everyone was struggling to get in a bit of a rhythm in qualifying, but let's see how the race turns out. I am raring to get going. Just before we do, I had a little chat with some of our drivers earlier today. Here we are at the fabulous Daytona. History echoes here, especially for Ferrari. Every lap demands perfection, and it's one of the most thrilling circuits on the calendar. It's my first visit here at Daytona, so I'm going to have a little chat with our drivers to see how much they really know about Ferrari trivia here at Daytona. When was the last time Ferrari won in class at the 24 Hours of Daytona?
2024.
2024.
Last year.
2024.
Last year.
Jeff, when was the famous Ferrari 1-2-3 finish at the 24 Hours of Daytona?
1965.
1964.
68.
67.
When was the last time Ferrari won overall at the 24 Hours of Daytona?
2005.
03.
1987.
1994. 1998.
Yes!
Yeah, that was with, wasn't it with Didier?
You are so good. Your trivia is good, my friend.
Yeah, I tried. I love Ferrari.
Tony, you were amongst our quizzies there, mate. How do you think you got on?
Half decent.
Very understated and finished half decent. Well, you'll be glad to know Tony Villander is an exceptional racing driver, and I'm very glad to have him alongside me here in the booth. We're really looking forward to this first racing count here. So cars have been on track since Wednesday, putting in tests prior to the event starting for real on Friday with the 3 practice sessions, then of course qualifying this morning. No mistakes of any note in qualifying. As Tony's already said, tyre pressure is going to be critical with the temperature coming up, and I'm really looking forward to the run into the first corner off the banking. So it should be a fantastic afternoon's racing. Do stay with us. We've got, of course, Trofeo Pirelli first of all, and then very shortly after that we'll have Copper Shell. So a packed afternoon of racing with some, I think, in the region of 66 Ferrari 296 Challenge cars here taking part this weekend. Everyone in the cars, Tony, it's hot, isn't it? I know we talk about it a lot, but you have to manage that.
Yeah, it is hot inside the car, but the main focus is at the start. It's an area, it's a part of the race where a lot of things are out of your control. You can plan inside, outside, brake late, brake early, but things happen so quickly, you just need to be ready almost for everything. So the concentration is always in the race at the restarts, but the highest tension, the highest heartbeat is always at the start.
So Tony Davis, whose car we're taking a look at, has an onboard camera with him, and we took a lap with Tony earlier on. So let's have a look at a full lap here of Daytona International Speedway.
Hi, I'm Tony Davis, driver of the number 4 296 Ferrari Challenge car. I'm going to take you around the lap to Daytona International Speedway. Okay, here we are coming to start finish in 7th gear, nearly 190 miles an hour. It's 1.8 G-forces pulling you out, hitting the brake zone hard, really focused, really concentrating. Got to stay on the brake, but get off it to make that apex. Got to bring it in, bring it in, bring it in, get the power. Watch out for the rear end. It really wants to move out to the right. Then you got to hustle the car back to the left. If you don't get it far to the left, you can't make this. Very difficult here. It is off camber. Normally you would come in much wider and bring it back. You can't do that because of the camber. You can see the car struggling to power down. That is the issue because of the off camber track. Here we are, the kink, most dangerous corner on the track. If you go into the grass right there, you can be in deep trouble. Hustle the car back to the left, coming back around again. You got to watch out for camber. It gets off camber on exit. You want to power down, be very careful. This curbing, you can't see it in the video, rolls off dramatically to the left. Now here, one of the hardest power down places on the track. You struggle to get the power down. You can see the car move around, coming up. You don't want to go too high up because that would decrease speed climbing up unnecessarily. And now settling in. People always ask what is the highest speed on the track, and this is nearly 190 miles an hour, but right now, as we're approaching very high speeds, you're relaxed. and that's paradoxical. Very high speeds on what is now a straightaway, you're most relaxed the entire lap. Bus stop coming up, braking very hard. You got to mow down that first curb, touch the second one, brake, get off the brake, roll speed, power down, and critical to power down right now because this is now the longest straight on the track. If we don't get that exit, you're going to watch your lap timer decline the entire time back to start finish. So for the bus stop, as for much of this track, what's absolutely critical is getting that power down. But again, where are we right now? We're approaching 190 miles an hour, but you're actually getting your pulse down, breathing, relaxing, and that's a lap at Daytona International Speedway.
Fantastic stuff to see an onboard lap around this place. Tony Verlander, that was Tony Davis, but Tony Verlander here in commentary with me. You've done plenty of laps of here. Really nicely described by Tony as well, and really interesting to hear him talking about chill out, you know, like the banking is mad, isn't it, to think that at that speed, that's the point at which you gather your thoughts, but it is a bit of respite.
Yeah, that is true. The infield takes a lot of concentration, takes a lot of energy out of you. Great racing lines from Tony Davis. We discussed also during the qualifying that you don't use all those round racing lines here. You just want to cut quite directly to the apex of the corner and then struggle, fight a little bit the race car at the exit of these corners. Turn 6 here. We are running right now with Ray Acosta. It's one of the most important corners because you just go for a very long period of time with full throttle. So the exit is the key. Who goes first on full throttle, then gains a lot on the main straights. Banking is one of the areas that every time you do the first laps, after a while being in Daytona, you do the first laps, it feels really different, but then you get used to it.
So they're heading it now for a reconnaissance lap. That will put some temperature in the tyres, but then they come back. We've got the whole sort of chill out for a bit, and then we have the, you know, the official start to the race, if you like. How do you judge how much temperature you've got in your tyres when you're going to head into that turn 1 at such high speed? It's not like feeling your way into the first corner at Sonoma. I mean, that's still pretty quick, but it's not as quick as this.
Yeah, for me personally, I always felt the tires. I always felt where is the grip level. Even not going at full speed, you can still hustle the car a bit, feel at the braking areas if the front tires are locking or not. What about the entry of the corners? If the grip is already there, even with a little bit less tire pressure, but if the surface of the tire has some temperature on it, you have performance. So at these outside temperatures, we are not struggling massively to create temperature to tires. So I think it's not the most difficult task. We have a beautiful spring-summer day here in Daytona, so it's great, great temperatures, great conditions to go racing.
It certainly is. It's a bit warmer than it is in Europe. That's Chris Cagnazzi, who's still down in pit road, so maybe an issue for him prior to the start of the race, which would be a shame because he qualified 4th in Pirelli Am. Yeah, we were joking yesterday. We were saying, "Wow, it's so nice and warm," and the locals were like, "This is not warm. This is a nice temperature." So, European racing and of course Ferrari Challenge going on in Europe as well this weekend, and they kicked off a couple of weekends back. Some of our American drivers went to Europe, didn't they, for round 1?
Yeah, there was at least Dylan Medler. I think he won the race in Monza, so he did a very, very good job over there. Dylan did the same thing last year, going back and forward with the racing here in US, but also the European races, and that's also great demonstration of our top drivers deciding to measure their speed overseas and then do the main series in their home country. So takes your skill level up and also the preparation. And when you measure with the drivers earlier on, maybe it's a bit easier also when you're approaching to the finals, to the world finals, so you know your competition.
Yeah, always good to know what it's like over the other side of the pond, isn't it? Of course, Ferrari Challenge has grown massively over the years. I think we're on season 31 here in North America. 1994, I believe, was when we started over here. So good to see it expand. There's Europe, there's the UK series as well, Middle East, I believe, too. And Australia debuting this year too, so some fantastic circuits over there, and we are being treated to a brilliant list of tracks here in the USA as well. Very much looking forward to discovering all of those, as I'm sure some of our drivers will be. Some of them have raced at many of the tracks before, but of course we haven't been here since 2022. So even some of our drivers who've been with us for a couple of seasons haven't had a race start here yet.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because also at the race start itself and how to act, how to behave into turn one, it's also a question of confidence, but also experience. So now, right now, we are lacking a little bit of experience of that opening lap here in Daytona with the new 296 Challenge car. So I just hope that the approach is reasonable, fighting spirit, but not too optimistic, and we have a great start to our race weekend.
It is a tricky turn one for those who weren't with us for the qualifying show earlier on, or maybe aren't familiar with Daytona. We're talking about a 200 mile an hour close to approach into a tightening left-hander. I mean, talk us through it, Tony. There's a normal lap, and then there's the opening lap.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So going into turn one, you actually have a lot of space. You can even overshoot the corner a bit and then come back, rejoin the track. When it gets a bit more trickier, as we see on the images, is when you go through that long left corner, the momentum goes through sort of a change of direction, right and left, where things get a bit more narrow, and the momentum carries all the way to turn three. Normally where it starts to clear up is just before the kink. Turn 4 going into turn 5, we go more to a single line. But before that, even after turn 3, we might be still side by side fighting for the places.
You can see turn 2 up in the background here. It's not fair to call it a chicane. It's kind of three kinks in a row, and then, as Tony said, the longer straight braking run down to turn 3. And turn 3 and 5, some of the drivers were saying yesterday, is absolutely key to not cooking the rears too early. You don't want to overheat them by getting sideways on the exit. There is the sequence of corners, which is turn 2 after the tightening turn 1. And you don't want to cook those tyres. Temperatures are high. Everybody's talking about it. Who's got the right setup? Who's done the right thing? Who's going to have rubber left at the end of the race? And who's really going to be hanging on?
Yeah, I know, Andrew, you come from rallycross and rally, but here going sideways is not the key to success. So we do have traction control on these race cars. Drivers set up their traction control a bit differently. Who wants a bit more control? Who wants to control it by the throttle itself? Yeah, the key is, like you said, is not to overheat the surface of the rear tires by going sideways from mid to exit of the corner. So we can see today for sure different driving styles, different ways to approach, and towards those last laps, for sure there will be some wheel spins and sideways action.
Going to be very interesting to see who manages those wonderful, specifically made for this series, Pirelli tyres as well. Right, we are getting ourselves ready to go here at Daytona, so let's head down to Nina Jade Paul on the grid.
Oh, it's the time we've all been waiting for. Drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
So they're on board. You can see the start procedure. Tony, are these things tricky? There's so many buttons in a race car. Are they tricky to start, or is it fairly simple?
No, it's fairly simple. Obviously, with all the practice, you had the Sonoma race weekend, so you know everything what you need to touch, or in the steering wheel or other functions inside the cockpit. There is differences again between the drivers. Some of them don't like to touch almost at all, and then other drivers play more with different functions you have inside the car. So it's also down to a driver. Sometimes even teams advise. There's reminders halfway through the race. Go one click more of the traction control or stuff like that. Things that have been decided before, but everything is pretty. In the end, it's pretty simple. You know the functions, and then you know where to look for them, so it's pretty easy.
Do you think many of the Pirelli front runners being, I think we would regard those guys as our professional drivers, those who were looking to make a career out of driving race cars, and obviously Ferrari Challenge has become somewhere now where GT talent is looking to grow. Will they be using things like traction control, even them, or is it how personal a choice is it?
It is a personal choice. If I would need to guess, I would say, without knowing all the details, is our front runners, they use very low traction control, or even they run without the traction control. They trust their driving skills, they trust their car handling skills fast hands, good controls, and right calls from the pedals, brake and throttle. So either very low or even without traction control.
Okay, let's see who's called the setup right, who's done an amazing time in qualifying but maybe won't be able to maintain it during the race, who's going to take the first win of the weekend here at Daytona. Daytona Raceway sees round 2 of Ferrari Challenge North America. It's a double-header weekend, and this is race 1. We're getting ourselves ready to go. The drivers have completed their reconnaissance lap already. This is their warm-up lap as they get themselves ready for a rolling start into turn 1 at very high speed indeed. Making themselves a little bit of space in the background. You can see people just with practice accelerations and braking, see whether or not those tyres are up to temperature. Have they got everything just where they want it to be? On the front row then, Johnny Kaminsky, the youngest ever pole sitter with Dylan Medler alongside last year's champion. Massimo Perina on the inside of row 2 with Gray Forver on the outside. Perina was brilliant last time out in Sonoma. What can he do this weekend? Jason McCarthy and Tony Davis. We've got an onboard with Tony for later on in this race. On to row 4, Roberto Perina. And on the outside, David Musial Jr. That's the last row of our Pirelli drivers. On then to the Pirelli Am drivers. Joe Rubbo with the pole. Absolutely fantastic job by him. Brad Forver and Christopher Cagnazzi. We saw problems for Cagnazzi in the pre-grid earlier on. Michael Porter and Rafael Duran. And, row 7. Row 8, Jay Logan and Benoit Bergeron. Row 9, Gerdas Venslovas and Dave Musial. And row 10, it's Ray Acosta, another of our onboards, and Omar Balkinsoon. And then Ophir Levy, Brandon Cruz on row 11. Row 12, Dan Magnazuski and Slade Stewart. And Sebastian Mascaro, who I missed out, who's on the front row with Joe Rubbo. Joe was so stoked. He came up into the lunch area with Johnny Kaminsky, the two of them together. They were back slapping and just absolutely over the moon. Okay, here we go then, forming up around the banking on the outside, and you should see the pace car drop down into the pits, and at that point we're going to go down towards turn 1. On the inside, Kaminsky there with the black, with the red, white and blue across the front, and on the outside, Dylan Medler with the red and yellow down towards the front splitter. So that you can see the 8 Pirelli drivers, Trofeo Pirelli drivers, are all there and absolutely ready to go, and it's the Pirelli Am guys who are needing to close up the gap in behind, get themselves close. Tension really building now inside the cars. This is the moment where all the talking stops and they've got to get it done in the first corner. Is anybody going to get mugged? Can anybody make a brave move? Off goes the pace car to the inside line. Kaminsky, just 16 years old, looking for his first victory here. Dylan Medler, last year's champion, is alongside him with more experience at this track. And they light it up now, so Kaminsky away on the inside line. Medler is up on the outside of him, right in behind. Perina has tucked in. And it's very sensible from the top 4 or 5 drivers, all hugging onto that inside line. No moves at all in the background, though. Things getting much more exciting. 4 wide as they go through the tightening turn 1. And our leaders, in the background, over the dirt, on the grass on the inside line, manages to hold on to it. But out front it is Kaminsky who's managed to keep the lead. And that's a lot more sensible than I was expecting, Tony. What about you?
Yeah, it was pretty clear start. A few cars going off a bit, but I didn't see any major contacts, and everybody seems to keep going and being in the race.
Tony Davis we're on board with, who's running in P6. And it is fairly narrow on this infield, but there are our leaders. They're already slightly gapping the cars behind. Not a lot, just a little bit, but we know they are the class of this field. Kaminsky at 16 years old. We've already said he's the youngest ever driver in the series. So he was by default the youngest poleman ever in the history of Ferrari Challenge, which is some history when you think we're into season 32 worldwide. Amazing. Right, okay, we're getting our first slipstream here now then. Perina looking to come around the outside of Medler. Medler runs him up towards the wall. Perina gets alongside. Past our flip-flop camera on the braking zone, down into the bus stop chicane. Side by side again over the curbs. Sideways on the exit as well. People running over in the background. That's Perina Senior, I think.
Yeah, good battle. Going into bus stop, Massimo Perina putting a lot of pressure on Dylan Medler. This is actually helping the leader to escape a little bit.
Yeah, they're side by side again on the banking in P2 and P3 as we see 3 cars battling now for P6. Still side by side up through the exit of turn 12 now, or coming into turn 12, sorry. This is going to be up and over the start-finish line at close to 190 miles an hour. Who's there to go latest on the brakes down into turn 1? And again, very, very measured from the pair of them. Medler just holds on. So that is allowing, isn't it, a big gap out front for Kaminsky. Kaminsky's got a 1.6 gap over them. They're separated by 0.03 of a second. That's what happens when you get into a fight.
Yeah, it really helped him to pull away. Massimo Perina very aggressive on the opening lap, trying to look for an opportunity to overtake Dylan Medler, but so far the top 3 stays in the same position.
Roberto Perina in the opposite colours to Massimo has got himself up into P4 from P8 on the grid, which is a great job. Sebastian Mascaro leads the Pirelli AM drivers, so he's got the better of Dave Musial Jr., who's got up into P8. And Joe Rubo, the pole man from that category, is in P10 at the moment. So there is Mascaro with the black and gold car in the middle of this pack, heading out onto the bank at the back of the track. Saw a little bit of sideways action, Tony, early on in that first lap. Of course, you're trying to make positions and so on, but you have also got to look after those tyres.
Yeah, there was some action between turns 2 and 3. One car went a little bit off. A few cars overshot the turn 3 a little bit, but like I said before, I didn't see any major contact so far, so it was a pretty clean start and opening lap for this Pirelli and Pirelli AM race.
That's I wonder if that was Dave Musial getting back. Yeah, getting back past Sebastian Mascaro on the brakes, so Mascaro's lost out to that position. Musial's gone back through. It might have been Mascaro that was across the grass on lap 1. It was hard to see with the pack coming through, the black and gold, but not sure. He's now coming under pressure, more pressure from behind, and now we're really starting to see the slipstreams coming into effect. Down in turn 1, running wide.
Yeah, Massimo Perina, the battle still for P2 and P3, and Massimo overshot now the turn 1, lost a little bit of ground. The last lap, fastest lap of the race, P2 driver, car number 15, Dylan Medler, was able to gain almost 0.3 to the leader, and as we can see, also visually, we can see that the gap is closing a little bit, so Massimo on P3, very aggressive, but there's a risk of losing a little bit of performance on the tires, and like we saw going into turn 1, he lost a lot of ground.
Yeah, he was just 1/10 of a second back from Medler in front of him. The gap will be a little bit more visual than that now when you get to take a look at that. That's Joe Rubo, who is in behind Sebastian Mascaro. So Rubo, the pole man with the red and white stripe across the top of the car, right up underneath the back of Mascaro. Mascaro runs a little bit deep. Only a car width off the apex, but Rubo will be in his mirrors, trying to make him drive on those mirrors and make a mistake. Cagnazzi's just done the fastest lap, was he? In class, maybe? Yes, just on the fastest lap in Pirelli AM, sitting in P4, but you're looking at the battle for the lead. And there's an idea of just how high speed it is down here. Look at that, the catch fence actually being moved by the air as these cars come down. Mascaro with a nice run in, Rubo in the background, slightly sideways at the second bar of the chicane. Just a few car lengths back. Tony, how close do you have to be to the car in front to get a toe off it?
No, I mean, 2-3 car lengths, and then you can really start to feel on the higher gears, you really start to feel the slipstream. And yeah, I was expecting a little bit more overtaking towards the braking zone of bus stop and turn 1. Seems like a car that is able to feel the initial slipstream, then the car that is being overtaken feels the side draft and then is able to come back, as we could see with Dylan Medler and Massimo Perina earlier. And now we can see that the P2, Dylan Medler, has really closed the gap. The last lap he was 0.6 faster, and the initial gap that was 1.6 seconds is now gone.
It has indeed. So Medler had to defend from Perina. Perina in the background with the red nose and the white sides to the car. Kaminsky out front, the 16-year-old, now coming under immense pressure. Dylan Medler, last year's champion, looks to the outside, then the inside. You can see at the bottom of your screen what the differences are on the lap times. So Kaminsky now will be hoping to gain more experience at holding these two off. He really needs Medler to come under a bit of pressure from Massimo Perina behind. That can help him get away again, but the pressure here is enormous.
Yeah, Dylan had a really good run coming out of turn 6. Perina cannot really match the acceleration and the the grip coming out of turn 6. So now we have a contact.
We do
17.
in the wall, so that is full course yellow. Magnaszewski's gone off, full course yellow, so we're going to get the safety car out on track. When will these guys pick that up?
Yeah, I think they will get the message soon. There will be yellow flags with the full course yellow sign all over the track, and I think the race will be neutralized for this from this moment on. And now we see from the Marshall point the yellow flags out.
Well, that's a shame, isn't it? Just as things were starting to hot up at the front between these three, they are clearly the class of this field. You can see Medler's just done the fastest lap in Pirelli, Trofeo Pirelli, Mascaro's just done the fastest lap in Pirelli Am, which he needed because he was coming under pressure from Joe Rubbo behind him. So we've got some good battles, and they are between our front runners from each of the categories. But unfortunately, that off means that we are now under a full course yellow, so a bit of breathing time for the drivers. What's the tactics here? I mean, we don't know. If it's a full course yellow, obviously very different to a red. It means they know they can clear it up quickly enough to continue with the race. But if you're sitting in the car, particularly if you're Johnny Kaminsky and you're 16 years old, what is your driver coach saying to you now? What do you do?
I mean, for the restart itself, stay calm, make your decision where to accelerate, and then sort of cover the line a little bit going into turn 1. Also, there is differences now based on the tire pressures and also the setup of the race car, how the car handles. You have hot tires, they will collect some dirt, some loose rubber from the racetrack, how you are able to clean and keep the tires clean for the restart itself. And then also the level of aggression. We saw now we've done a little bit less than 10 minutes of racing. The momentum was going into Dylan Medler's side, but we saw also some difficulties to overtake. There is a so small gap between the drivers, so it's actually like in Formula 1, but in many other disciplines of racing, that is the small details, and that could be the restart after the safety car, where you can play and either gain the win of the race or lose the leading position of the race. So I think the main concentration is keep a good level of grip on the tires and then be ready when we go back to racing. Hopefully the driver that went off, Magnaszewski, is okay. We get the track and the car cleared quickly, and then we go back to racing.
We're going to take another look at turn 1, and that will give us, sorry, the first horseshoe. My bad. We're going to take a look at the first horseshoe. Some replays from earlier on, super slow-mo. Look at this, see a bit of understeer in the background for some people getting out to the dirty track.
Yeah, this was, I think, at the opening lap. Yeah, it was Tony Davis, that maybe it was actually him that went a little bit off between 2 and 3, and then he had a little bit less grip going into turn 3.
So still full course yellow. You can see the safety car is out there in front of the pack after that incident. They'll be getting that cleared up as quickly as they can. It's Magnaszewski whose car they're trying to recover at the moment, and as soon as that's out of the way, we'll be able to go racing again. Bit of weaving going out on the track. Do they need to keep temperatures up at this point? I mean, it's pretty hot. I kind of look. Medler in particular is really trying to keep temperature in the tyres. I mean, an aggressive move may be incoming.
Yeah, it depends. It's really up to the driver. Maybe it's the weaving around from left and right is a little bit psychological as well.
I was just thinking that for the mirrors for Kaminsky in front, isn't it? I'm coming for
showing
you.
That I'm awake. I'm coming after you. So I think there's with different cars, single seaters to GT cars, a lot of even touring cars, a lot of studies done how to create the most temperature to the tires. I think here the key is we've done 10 minutes of racing, so the pressures and the tire temps are up. Just keep the tires clean, keep the car on the racing line, don't go off, don't collect anything extra to the tires that can compromise your performance after the restart behind the safety car. So no big tricks in the end that make a huge difference. It's more up to the momentum after the safety car, where to accelerate, which racing line to choose going into turn 1, and so on.
It's a good look there at the kinks coming out through turn 2. We could also see one of the cleaning trucks at the side of the road with it's like a jet engine on it, isn't it, which they use to dust the track off, and they were doing that yesterday even with no incidents. They'll be doing that today. I imagine they've just come down that section where the car went off and put dust on the racing line from the sides. They do an amazing job here in the USA of keeping the track clean. You're on board with Tony Davis. Just see down to his right, the right of his right hand is the little yellow flap there. That's on the driver net. So if you want to get out of the car quickly, you can pull that and release the driver net and get yourself up. Those nets are there to keep the arms in the event of a big crash. The safety kit on these cars is top drawer, isn't it?
Yeah, safety has taken, even the last 5 to 10 years, big steps forward in GT cars in general, but also in our 296 Challenge car. The safety standards, there's a lot of studies based on the speed, different size of our drivers. The cockpit of a 296 GT car in general is not huge, so everything needs to be well studied. How to mount the seats, how to put the safety nets like you mentioned. All the drivers have obviously the Hans device, latest homologations on the overalls, gloves, racing shoes, and so on. So everything is up to FIA and worldwide standards.
Yeah, the absolute top standards here for these guys. Still four-course yellow. We could, in theory, see the safety car coming on this lap. They're still out at the back side of the circuit, so they've got the bus stop chicane to go.
Yeah, I've been a few times in to help, to be sort of a driver advisor in the race director's office, or with the marshals and with the officials. So normally they try to clean the track as quickly as they can, but again, we need to respect some of the safety standards. If there is some barriers to be fixed, if there is something else to be controlled before. So one thing is to collect the car and take it to a safe place, and the other thing is to make sure that the track is fine and get the racing going.
From the announcing booth, we can see here that the jet truck and also some of the marshals with brooms are out there manually cleaning the entrance to turn 3, which is the international horseshoe. So that first tight right-hander, the marshals are back in their trucks from where we're sitting, but I think that's going to be it's going to be too late for them to be able to go green flag on this lap, and indeed the safety car stays out. That's pit entrance on your picture right, driver's left-hand side. Medler still weaves in the background. Kaminsky will be taking a little break here, a little breather for him and a little breather for everybody's Pirelli tyres. How much of a difference will a few slow laps like this make? Everybody has been talking about tyre deck during the course of the race. How much of a difference will a few slow laps make to that?
Yeah, this makes a difference now. If we lose 10 minutes of racing, it's a big difference. It's 1/3 of the race, so that's something that you see the difference in the tyre wear in the end of the race, and also again is how you set up the race car, how much on a limit you are predicting that the tires will be in the end of those 30 minutes. So this will help for sure in that way.
A little bit of chill time for the Pirellis and for the drivers. I reckon there's got to be this next lap. They're passing by now where they're doing the track cleaning. You might even see the jet truck in the background in a moment as they cruise past it. It's actually on the, I think, yeah, it's heading down the outside access road now. You're looking at Dave Musial. Both him and Dave Musial Jr. have got fantastic liveries on the car. So some of these drivers take great pride in designing that ahead of the season, and indeed a few people changing their liveries since Sonoma. Okay, so everybody's starting to get backed up a little bit in the infield now. People just getting a feel again for the level of traction they got. Joe Ribot, Ferrari of Long Island, was our pole man in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Sebastian Mascaro in front of him with the gold colour on the car, got the better of him. Sebastian yesterday was full of confidence. His wife and his daughter are here. They were both up on the stand this morning when his daughter had a headset. I said, "You're going to be telling Dad what to do?" And she's like, "Yeah," just smiled and nodded. But it's nice to see the families here with him. And to say, he was the one driver I spoke to yesterday who was like, "We're really happy. We've got a good setting on the car. We can do the same laps on a long run from start to finish." He's got the fastest lap in Pirelli Am. He's in a good position.
And this gives confidence also when you approach the qualifying and the race. If you have done the previous days good work with the setup, good work with the practice sessions, and you're happy with the work done together with your team. So this is definitely a confidence boost.
So we think the safety car lights have gone out. I'm sure we'll get a look at it in a moment as you see Mascaro, who heads Trofeo Pirelli Am, but the big battle is surely going to be up front for the first couple of corners. Trofeo Pirelli leader here, Kaminsky. There he is with the black, the red, the blue and the white across the front. Behind him, Dylan Medler and Massimo Perina. Now the tension builds again. Now your coach gets on the radio, says, you know, remember the plan. They'll have talked about all of this. I forget which boxer it was, but somebody said it's all very well having a plan until you get punched in the face, and that's what happens in turn one, of course. So we're hoping there won't be any contact, but Medler had made his intentions clear, had closed down that gap that Kaminsky had built up when Medler was under pressure from Perina on the first lap. Massimo Perina has his uncle Roberto Perina behind him. Now, I mean, he may have a look, but I suspect he'll be a tidy rear gunner to protect Massimo from McCarthy from behind. They're not going to do anything silly as members of the same family and members of the same team for Ferrari of Seattle. They've got the reverse colour schemes that you can see here in P3 and P4, but watch out the front for Kaminsky and Medler.
Yeah, Medler is really close. He just wants to almost predict the moment of acceleration from Kaminsky, and
Kaminsky goes. Medler
yeah,
was
good
right
acceleration.
with it. Yeah, nicely done. So Kaminsky rolled off big time and backed the pack up. Medler under a bit of pressure from Massimo Perina. Perina comes up high with the yellow headlights, looking to come around the outside of Medler. Medler has that inside line on the brakes, though. Perina's going to look to be right behind him. His uncle is behind, and then McCarthy in the white car with the red stripe over the top. Now through the kinks up at turn two. Kaminsky still leading from Medler. Oh, Perina looks to the outside of Medler. Medler on the dust from the cleanup. There's still quite a bit out there. That causes just a little problem for him on the braking zone. Nothing too major, though. Could not be closer at the front. Medler is right there with Kaminsky. Kaminsky coming up now to the left-hander, but Medler can't do anything there. That's the kink, the fast kink at turn four, and now down into five. Medler again. I thought he was going to look to the inside line. He is close, but Kaminsky is keeping that door firmly shut. That's what he's got to do. Now we're going to get to the point at which we're going to see a bit of drafting coming out through turn six. So into turn six, get it into the curb. Medler gets in closer than Kaminsky. Kaminsky on the throttle and up through six. Medler staying low. Kaminsky goes up high, and Medler now tucks in behind. Will Dylan Medler, last year's champion, be close enough to pick up a toe down here that was sticking with a chance of getting up the inside at the bus stop? I don't think he is close enough. Maybe when he comes around through turn 12. So we'll get the constant tuner effect on the brakes here. And nobody quite close enough to make a move. Oh, in the background, was that Mascaro coming under pressure from Ribot? It's hard to tell. Kaminsky's done well, and the bus stop executes that nicely.
Yeah, but looks like Dylan Medler, car in the second place, is very strong in the infield, but then coming out of six, he has a better run, but then he keeps losing ground all the way to the bus stop. Then with the bus stop, he loses even more, and now what we can see from P3, even Perina has more speed on the straight lines.
So maybe he's running a bit more rear wing, and the others got the cars trimmed out more. Perina, Massimo goes up high to try and get around the outside of Dylan Medler. Now he's going to tuck back in. It's slightly off camera on the exit of turn one. Roberto Perina and Jason McCarthy are right there to pick up the pieces if there are any problems. And the top three drivers pop the curbs on the run through turn two. Yeah,
this is the moment that Dylan Medler really starts to gain back. And all the way coming, all the rotation, all the slow speed, the car in P2 is better. He has more traction, more handling on his race car, but he's really struggling on the straight line.
He's going around the outside. Medler passes around the outside in the fast kink at turn four. I thought he got a good exit from turn three, but that rear shot, it was hard to see how alongside he was. and he was far enough alongside. We've had a spin in the background, but Dylan Medler has passed Kaminski for the lead in turn 4 on the outside. Now Kaminski comes under pressure from both the Perinas. Kaminski runs that slightly wider line up through turn 6, and underneath him Massimo Perina's going low. Massimo Perina alongside now Johnny Kaminski. Kaminski, the 16-year-old, in danger of losing P2 here, stays up high with the fluoro yellow wheels and the mirrors too. Is he going to dare to go really late on the brake? Surely on the inside line Perina can get this done. Massimo Perina was so strong at Sonoma, trying for P2 here on the run into the brakes. Oh, outside Kaminski holds on. Can Perina get a better exit through the bus stop now, because he's had to go defensive on the way in? Great drive by Kaminski, but is he compromised here on exit speed?
And Dylan Medler is really gone. He really pulled away a 2-second gap in one lap.
That's it. That's Joe Rubo spun, the pole sitter from Pirelli Am. So Joe Rubo's gone round. That's a shame for him. He was right up behind Sebastian Mascaro. Mascaro, the class leader, was P9. Perina again looks to the outside. Oh, he's going deep on the brakes this time. Kaminski is going to get mugged here. Is he around the outside again? And he does. So Kaminski's really struggling for grip now. Massimo Perina makes a pass as well. He makes that stick. And Roberto Perina in the background. That's Mascaro's gone round. Contact, 3 cars. Who's that off on the outside again? I thought it was Rubo, but I thought he dropped a long way back in the order. We've got cars sitting there a long way offline. We might get away with this without a caution. I kind of hope we don't get another one with the racing going on out front. That's Michael Porter in the 22. So there's some damage on his car. Meanwhile, this is pressure coming from Roberto Perina now, with the reverse colour scheme of Massimo. And Johnny Kaminski is he's getting it piled onto him.
Yeah, also almost get an idea that Kaminski is having problems either with his car or with his brakes, and his performance is just he's a second or something slower each lap, so he's really losing a lot of ground. So let's see what the stewards decide and the race director decides on the accidents that happened on the start of this lap. If we get some cautions, some yellow flags, so the cars were able
full
to...
course yellow. Full course yellow's just popped up on screen. Tony Villander was looking out the window, as was I, to see what was going on down in turn 1. It's almost that's turn 2, isn't it, really? No, it is turn 1, outside of turn 1. Let's take a look at what happened. Full course yellow, you can see in the background, that is Michael Porter's car. You can see the white and green 296 Challenge parked off to the side. One of the other cars may have got away here. Let's take a look. So in the background, everybody in Pirelli's... Mascaro spins, so Sebastian Mascaro spins. Oh, and in the background, that's on the way in. So to me, Mascaro spun on the exit of one, but I think Porter and whoever it was that was in the wall on the outside have potentially dropped it on the brakes on the way in.
Yeah, looks like
unless
completely
contact.
maybe contact, separate accidents, but look like Mascaro lost it on his own, and then the other 2 cars maybe had a contact.
Trying to see the race number on the side of the car that's parked. Look, I think it might be Brad Falver. It is, yeah, Brad Falver. So Brad Falver, it is, yeah. Yes, my eyesight's not as bad as I thought. There we go. Oh, that's a shame, isn't it? You can see the disappointment in the walkaway. Body language says so much for drivers. That might also suggest that he feels he's been hard done by. We haven't seen what's happened, so it's hard for us to tell. But full course yellow with 4 minutes 50 to go. What do you think the chances are of getting this underway again? It's tight, isn't it?
It's very tight. The cars are still in turn 1. It's not going to be an easy task to get us going again. Yeah, impressive was Dylan Medler's charge and to take the lead. Surprising was to see Kaminski's struggles with his car. He seemed to struggle really with the braking distance and the way he lost on both occasions on an outside move. He lost his place. Dylan Medler overtook him from outside in the kink, and then Massimo Perina into turn 1 also from outside. So really he lost the confidence in braking. So let's see if maybe an issue with the car, maybe something related to the tires, maybe brakes, but he definitely lost confidence. He had the initial pace, he was leading by 1.6 seconds, and then suddenly it was taken away.
Yeah, it's a real shame for him. we're just looking at best laps and last laps. So Medler's best was a 1:46.0. His last a 1:47.0. So that was obviously the last lap before. 1:48.9. Yeah, Kaminsky. Yeah, you're right. Tony Verlander just pointed at the timing screen. 1.9. That's too much. So
yeah,
as you say, there's something. So, yeah, exactly. We know he's good. We know he's really good. So something has gone awry for Kaminsky. We'll find out, and we'll let you know. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We may find out. We've got the Copper Shell race directly after this. So I think us finding out from the drivers prior to you guys seeing the end of the broadcast today will be tricky, but we will find out for you tomorrow and bring you an update on what happened. Medler was the one that really surprised me. The exit that he got from turn 3 must have been outrageously good to get alongside on the outside of the kink for 4.
Yeah, he was showing very strong performance on the infield. Infield means between turns 1 and 6. He was really running into back of Kaminsky's car in the rotation, so the slowest time of the corner. He just had better handling, and the power down coming from 3 was the key to a very brave overtaking into kink. And yeah, but he had some difficulties, Dylan, with his race because he was lacking some top speed between exit of turn 6 into bus stop and from bus stop into turn 1. So he had several laps to defend with that at the time P3 driver Massimo Perrina, and he couldn't really charge on Kaminsky with the straight line speed. But then the performance on the infield was the key to, in the end, to take the lead. Yeah, we're
so
into
final lap.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Then we're going to finish this one under safety car, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. Great performance by Dylan Medler to get that job done. And Kaminsky, as we say, unfortunately just lacking a bit of pace in the closing stages. I suppose 2/3 of the way through. They came out, saw a couple of people have moments on the concrete dust where they were making the clear up from the previous race. I was surprised to see that. That suggests a fluid on the track, maybe.
Yeah, I think what was from the initial cause of the safety car, the previous safety car. Maybe there was something on the track and they tried to clean it. I don't know what is the right word for the white material. Is it like a filler that they put on the track, try to get everything back to a racing condition? But normally it's not super slippery. It should not be the cause of drivers going off or having big moments. Yeah, you see some dust, but the grip level should be
pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
It's a very fine dust, isn't it? Often like a concrete dust, and it's designed to soak up any fluid, basically. Yeah. Gets brushed in by the very hard-working marshals, who do a fantastic job. And I say, unfortunately, this one is going to have to finish behind the safety car.
Yeah, I can see a fire marshal going into turn 1. I think one of the race cars is catching fire a bit.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Okay, out onto the back stretch. We were hoping to be doing this at like 180 miles an hour, but on this occasion, even with a stunning Ferrari as the safety car, we've got safety is the key word here. Yeah, there are people out on track getting it ready, and they'll get that cleared up in time for the Copper Shell encounter, which will follow this race pretty closely. Up into the bus stop chicane. Proving a little tricky to pass at the bus stop chicane. Yeah, we saw people very, very close on the exit of turn 6 through turn 7, the banking, and they still weren't quite close enough. It seems that if you want a draft and pass from turn 12 to turn 1 is more likely. But there we go. So our regulars managed to stay out of trouble at least. What was going on behind them. Mascaro actually did a good job as well after spinning, has ended up P7 in Pro-Am. Will be disappointed because obviously was leading, and it's given the lead in Pro-Am has actually gone to Cagnazzi. We'll run you through those guys now, and I think they're going to bring them back in, are they? They're not even going to take the checker flag and then come back into pit lane. So as we roll back into pit lane, it is Dylan Medler who will take the win here. He qualified second twice in Sonoma and got 2 P2s there. Here he qualified second, but he got the job done on Kaminsky. and took the lead. There is the checker as they roll back into pit road. So Dylan Medler, last year's champion, takes his first win of the year. 2 P2s and a P1 is a great start to his season. Second place, Massimo Perina, was pole both times out of Sonoma, ended the first race in P1 but got a penalty to P4. He won the second race in Sonoma and he gets P2 here, having also passed Kaminsky. Kaminsky was P3, qualified 5th at the first race. He qualified 3rd at the second race. He qualified on pole today, but unfortunately ends up P3. So he's had 3 thirds in a row, and he'll have to wait to be the youngest winner in Ferrari Challenge. But you know what? I think it's going to happen this season. He's done a fantastic job so far. That is your winner, Chris Cagnazzi, of Pirelli Am. In the background, the silver car. Good job by him. Second place going to Logan, and P3 going to Dave Musial. So Dave Musial getting 3rd place there. Cars being directed back into the paddock, and that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, also with this format, we have 30-minute races, but then if you have a chance to overtake, you need to do it sooner or later, because then if something like this happens, if Dylan hadn't done the move with Kaminsky or lost the place with Massimo Perina, then we would have a different outcome. So also a strategy involved here. When you have a chance, you need to go for it, because you never know what happens next lap or the lap after.
He was so aggressive at the start, wasn't he? We were questioning, was he being too aggressive with his tyres, and it paid off, because with 2 full course yellows, the tyre life wasn't a problem. Let's take a look at that move for the lead from Dylan Medler on Johnny Kaminsky. So this is into turn 3. Tony, your best place to talk us through this.
Yeah, turn 3, everything is under control with Kaminsky. He has a bit slower run coming out, and then with the next gears, he's not able to pull the same distance or the same speed as Dylan Medler, and then going side by side, does Dylan Medler very, very brave move. There was not a lot of space, but I must say also fair racing from both of the drivers, which we want to see in Ferrari Challenge.
I was going to say that, good respect from Kaminsky, because contact there at that speed would have been absolutely disastrous. So yeah, nicely done. Well, there we are. Dylan Medler looking very pleased with himself for the win. Okay, Nina Jade's with him. She's ready to go. Nina Jade, you're with the man of the moment. That incredible pass round turn 4.
Dylan, congratulations. What a stonking race from you. You had really good handling in the infield. You really found your rhythm. How was that race for you?
Yeah, it was a difficult race, to be honest. I thought I had P1 from the start, but you put it up the inside there. The safety cars kind of ruined momentum. But we had our head down. We went as much pace as we had, and it paid off. So very excited for me and the team.
You've been putting in a lot of work this weekend, and it obviously paid off. What does this win mean to you?
Oh, it means so much. We had some struggles the first round, but we came back in Daytona, put in a lot of work throughout the week. We had some problems with the car, so it means the world this week.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, very happy. Look at that. It's not the full-on joy you get, is it, when you cross the line for the checker flag flat out and come back in, but here's another look in slow motion. So Kaminsky coming in the lead, and Medler, look, he's literally there. He's maybe a foot off the back bumper, the rear fender, and just cuts to the right-hand side and just gets great exit speed.
Yeah, and Dylan obviously has great talent. He's done a great job last year, but also good start for his season and championship this year.
So yeah, Dylan Medler takes the win from Massimo Perina and Johnny Kaminsky. Then it's Roberto Perina, Jason McCarthy, Gray Favre, Tony Davis and David Musial Jr. Christopher Cagnazzi gets P1 in Pirelli Am from Jay Logan, and Dave Musial in P11. Then it's Gerdas Van Slovas, Rafael Duran, Slade Stewart, Sebastian Mascaro, who had that spin, otherwise you might have taken the win. Omar Balkerson, Benoit Bergeron, Brandon Cruz and Joe Rubo also spinning, so both the front row drivers from the AM category spinning. Ophir Levy, Brad Favre, Michael Porter, Ray Acosta, Dan Magnaszewski, and you can see a few DNFs there on the right hand side, a few people off in that one. But an exciting encounter, but say not the way we'd like to see it finish, but it's still a fantastic bit of action here from Daytona. Chris Cagnazzi, the winner of Pirelli Am, is with Jade now.
Chris, I was just saying, you look absolutely cool as a cucumber. Not an ounce of sweat on you.
I know, it's probably the gray hair and the old age, maybe. But, no, it was a lot of fun, a fantastic race. I mean, a lot of great action. I had 2 really good drafting passes, which helped me get a couple of positions. So I want to thank the team, 111, and Spencer Pompelli, my coach, really helped me out a lot.
How was the safety car? Did it ruin your rhythm a little bit, or?
You know, not really, because, you know, interestingly with this track and with this car, you know, you just really focus on keeping those tires warm and the pressure's up, waiting for the go green. So you just do your best to, you know, stay up and not hit anybody, because people end up hitting each other when the pace car's out, unfortunately. But yeah, really enjoyed it.
Good. Chris, who are you dedicating this win to today?
Well, I think I just dedicated to the whole crew, the whole team, and of course my wife.
Lovely. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Couple of drafting passes as well. Nicely done to get the big W. Chris with the fantastic slow-mo sideways business. Not too sideways on the exit though, just nice rotation. So very happy to take the win. I say 2 passes dedicated to the whole crew, and also giving a special credit to his driver coach, making a big difference to things. Tied elite done. Okay, we can take a look at the standings. So here we are in Trofeo Pirelli. Dylan Medler leading by 1 point from Massimo Perina. Then it's Johnny Kaminsky, Roberto Perina, Luke French, Jason McCarthy, Dave Musial Jr., Gray Falvra. Massimo Perina was leading the standings, coming here by 3 points. So Medler's done well there and nicks the lead back, last year's champion, to the top of the table. And our Pirelli AM standings after the first race of our doubleheader here at Daytona, the second weekend for Ferrari Challenge North America. Brad Favre at the top of the standings. Was at the top of the standings prior to this event. It's Eric Pan, then Michael Mathes, Dave Musial, Ray Acosta, Sebastian Mascaro, Jay Logan and Eric Marston are your top 8. Fantastic stuff from Pirelli, Trofeo Pirelli here at Daytona Race 1. Stick around, it won't be long. We've got a little bit of clearing up to do out on track, but another cars are rolling out already, so we are literally minutes away from Copper Shell, so stay with us. Here we go, getting ourselves ready for our copper shell encounter here at Daytona. It's the second weekend of Ferrari Challenge North America. Daytona International Speedway. 30 minutes of action for the drivers from Copper Shell and Copper Shell Am. If you missed it, we've just finished our Trofeo Pirelli race. Trofeo Pirelli Am as well. And I think considering they're our professional drivers, there was a fair amount of action in that one. A few people running wide across the dirt. We had a couple of little bits of contact and a few spins as well. So while qualifying today was very uneventful, everybody was super clean. It's been an exciting afternoon here at Daytona so far, so stay with us because we've got, I'd say, 30 minutes of a Copper Shell race to come. Started the season at Sonoma Raceway, and for these guys there, Mitchell Green was the class of the field, taking both the wins. Daytona International Speedway this weekend, then Miami Autodrome, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen International, Laguna Seca, and Mugello, of course, for the Finale Mondiale. Daytona then, let's take a look at the layout here. Of course, the speedway around the outside, but we are using the infield as well, which is used for the famous Daytona 24 hours. So turn 1 is a tightening left-hander off the banking through the kinks at turn 2, and then the hairpin at turn 3. The kink at turn 4, where just a few moments ago we saw Dylan Medler take the lead in the Pirelli race. So that's one place we didn't expect anybody to pass. And they were before, of course, heading through 5, 6 and back out to mostly the banking with the bus stop chicane to break up 2 sections of north of 180 miles an hour. 34 degrees C out on the track, so still very hot out there, air temperature 22. Wind speed as well can make a difference to proceedings here. My name's Andrew Coley, alongside me is Tony Villander. Tony, wind speed here with the high speeds, what's the score? How does it affect the cars?
It really depends on which way the wind is blowing. The surprising thing was to see in the Pirelli race that it wasn't that easy to overtake with the slipstream. We saw actually the overtaking action with the lead of the race, like you said, going into turn 4, which is the kink. We saw Massimo Perina fighting into turn 1, but the moves came quite late after the end of the braking zone or in the infield. So wasn't that easy. I think going into this race, very interesting to see Mitchell Green's mindset, because it looked like the whole qualifying session he had the pole. He lost it towards the end of the qualifying session. Then he's coming from the weekend where he won both races, and now the pole starting car is a car and driver who was not at the opening race. So is he taking risks? Is he going for the win? Is he happy with P2? Because it looked like the leading 2 cars had a little bit more pace in this morning's qualifying. So interesting to see how Mitchell Green reacts in this current situation.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, do you go after the guy who might only be visiting for 1 week? And on the other hand, does Ernst Kirchmeier have such a great weekend here at the USA that we see him for the rest of the season? Lots of things to find out. We've got somebody else to help us find out as well. Nina Jade Poole is down in pit road.
What a first race. We saw battles, we saw bold moves, and we saw bravery. Daytona delivered as we knew it would, and I think we ought to do it again. Drivers, start your Ferrari engines.
Right on cue in the background, a little burble from our 296 Challenge cars, all lined up, ready to go in this one. On board. There you can see the screens don't flash like that. That's just what you see on broadcast. You can see the cars are in neutral and pit limiters on as well. Chuck Whittle, who is 4th on the grid, he is, so he'll be on the outside of Bruce Cleveland. That is Chuck Whittle's car there, the fantastic chrome finish. I mean, that is epic, isn't it? Around here, I mean, a bit of reflection in your competitor's eyes. No bad thing. And back through what is an absolutely stacked grid, 15 rows of cars. So we're looking at, I think it's 29 cars in this race. And there they are. That is a lot of highly strung race machinery ready to get out on track. Our row of marshals down the middle. Everybody here at Daytona is so well organised. This is a wonderful place to go racing. Doors are shut on most of the drivers at the back there. Just one car. Not quite ready to go, but yeah, lights flashing and the cars are rolling out for their warm-up lap. Daytona International Speedway is the venue for weekend 2 of Ferrari Challenge North America. And the Copper Shell drivers are heading out now on their reconnaissance lap for race 1 of the weekend. They've been testing here since Wednesday. 10 practice sessions Wednesday and Thursday, then another 3 on Friday, a part of the official challenge weekend. And we've got a new pole sitter in Ernst Kirchmeier ahead of Mitchell Green, who was the man to beat at Sonoma. So we've got a fantastic fight in Copper Shell up front. Those drivers, of course, are the ones who are most likely next year to get moved up to Trofeo Pirelli. There's a whole ladder of opportunity here. And towards the rear of this grid, of course, we've got those drivers in Shell Am, some of whom are making their very first appearance at a race meeting here with Ferrari Challenge, which is fantastic to see. That is the whole plan of coming up through Corsa Pilota. Mitchell Green, there he is on the outside of row 1 because Ernst Kirchmeier nicked the pole from him at the very end of the session. Then it's Bruce Cleveland and Chuck Whittle on row 2. On row 3, Jan Bernier on the inside, John Visk up on the outside. Brad Evans and Gary Ott make up row 4. Row 5, John Lennon and Osvaldo Gallo. On to row 6, it's Jarrett Bilacek on the inside and Brian Waltersdorf on the outside. Row 7 sees Henry Hummel closest to the wall and Alberto Duran with that inside line. And Andrew Parker and Henry Hummel showing, I think he's on the previous row. So we've got Fabian Sperman and Ed Vartugian on row 9. Then Michael Owens and Steve Czech. The inside of row 3 of Shell Am, row 11 of the race is Melissa Kozira with a fantastic performance during qualifying. And then you've got Jeffrey Nunberg and Matthew Herfield, Stephanie Herfield and Danny Patel. Danny making his race debut here. This is his home track. He's never ever raced before this weekend. David Williams and Lance Corley. And Al Heggie and Louis Flory. So that's your grid, 30 places on the grid, I say 29 cars. So the halfway up the field at the back of the Shell category, there'll be 1 car on its own on that lineup. We're going to go green this time by.
Yeah, the grid formation is still quite widely spread, so let's see how we get everything together.
Melissa Kozira, just looking at her qualifying, she qualified 12th and 8th in Sonoma, so she will be very pleased to say with that performance here. But this is going to be about those front 4 cars. So the red and yellow is our new driver, Ernst Kirchmeier, racing in America for the first time. He said Daytona on his bucket list, but he must have ticked off 2 items because he got the pole here as well. Mitchell Green, 2 poles and 2 wins from the first weekend in Sonoma. And then you've got Bruce Cleveland and Chuck Whittle on row 2. So watch out for those 4 cars in the background. You can see that's the gap between the Copper Shell drivers and then the Shell Am drivers at the rear. Everybody now in position and good to go. Safety car does peel off, so the safety car comes off late, and now we'll see the throttles opened up on these 296s. Can Kirchmeier hold on the inside line, or will Mitchell Green pull off something special on the outside? Mitchell Green was early on the throttle, but Kirchmeier coming down on the low line, doing a good job. Kirchmeier holds the inside line. Mitchell Green trying to go around the outside, but Kirchmeier just pushes him out a little bit deep. Mitchell Green will cut back into the inside. Almost a bit of contact in the background, but everybody getting into a line through the second 2 turns, and we've got away with it in turn 1 again, out onto the dirt on the outside. Grass flies up, but out front, Kirchmeier leads from Mitchell Green.
Yeah, we had a good formation in the end before the green flag and very clean start. And Kirchmeier controlled really well the braking into turn 1. Mitchell Green was clever enough just to accept the P2, and now we are on to opening lap.
We are indeed, everybody getting into a line on this one. We ride on board as we head up towards turn 6. Chuck Whittle for the exit onto the banking for the first time through turn 7. These drivers feeling their way in. On side by side, almost contact on the banking as they head around through turn 7 and down towards the bus stop chicane. And And they're still side by side. Who's going to dare to go latest on the brakes? They might get past 3 wide now in the braking zone as they head into the bus stop. That's not going to work, surely, but there isn't any contact. Oh, sideways in the background, just about gets away with it. Back into a line. And side by side again. So we've got side by side again as we come up through the banking onto the end of the first lap over the checkered flag. You'll see it painted on the light Daytona, and the door gets slammed in his face. So Bernier in front of Whittle as they come down into turn 1. Oh, Bernier sideways the whole way into there and just about holds on. In the background, we've got a spin. Surely there was a lot of tyre noise. There is a car backwards. Is there in turn 1? It looked like it on the outside. It's on the inside. And the outside too. So we've got 2 cars off, inside and outside. A fair bit of damage to the front end of the car on the outside. It looks like might just be bodywork. There it is. So the hood is off that car. Was there contact with the wall? But Kirchmeier leads from Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier, Chuck Whittle and Viscup.
Yeah, let's see the chance of a full course yellow safety car. There was several contacts going into turn 1. Car spinning inside and also outside. So
full course yellow, unfortunately, again. Well, there we go. Safety car out. That turn 1's proving tricky, isn't it?
yeah, it is. So we had a quite clean opening lap, and just going into the second lap, there was quite a lot of contact going into turn 1. Hopefully the driver is okay.
So Edvard Tugian it is. Edvard Tugian in the 143 is parked at the side of the road. It's a P2 in Shallam. He'll be fine, but a little bit of clearing up to do. So pressure off for a moment for Kirchmeier. And everybody now can have a little bit of a rethink. So they didn't get to race for quite so long as the Pirelli guys did before we had an interruption. And into cruise mode for a bit, let the tyres cool off and get yourselves ready for the restart. Sperman leads from, it was, say, Vartugian in P2, but we've seen what's happened there. Out front is Kirchmeier, Green and Bernier, the top 3, Chuck Whittle, Cleveland, P4 and P5. Well, these guys obviously not quite so experienced, so we've had an incident slightly earlier. We didn't see what happened in the background. We heard a lot of tyre noise, didn't we, in the braking zone, but it's not an easy braking zone.
Yeah, you approach into turn 1 very, very high speed. 190 miles per hour, and yeah, to judge the right braking spot and also to give enough space for other cars near you is not easy task, but there must have been several contacts because, like we said, one car spun to the inside of turn 1, almost hitting the edge of the concrete wall with the tire barrier, and then at the time the Shallam second place car went off as well. So let's see if we can get a replay on what happened going into turn 1.
Yeah, it was Vartugian who was the P2 guy. Fabian Sperman is the leader in Shallam at the moment. Was the pole man from Vartugian. Michael Owens, yeah, who's in P2, had set the fastest lap prior to this. And you're looking at Sperman now. Right, let's take a look at some replays of what happened during that melee. So a little bit of a lock-up on the outside, and then, oh, is it spin to the inside? Oh, it does hit the tyres at the end of the wall.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought that I saw. But he replaced the tires.
Yeah, just pulled them back on, yeah.
Yeah, so I think the key there was the left-hand side. The inside tires dropped from the track to the grass, and he lost the corner a bit. He lost the braking a bit. got some instability under braking, was leaning on the other car and kept turning the wheel to the left, and then had some over rotation and spun into the inside tire barrier. That was it.
If you're wondering about the wall structure that you can see down beneath us, it's relatively recent, isn't it, in terms of motorsport history, what they've done with the walls, and that's to lessen the impact at the incredible high speeds. How did they figure it out? I mean, I can't remember when it came in, but I remember it being a big change.
Yeah, that takes a lot of energy out in case you have a contact with the barrier. So I think with the ovals, the safety measures are different, and those walls and the angle you normally hit on the oval, if you have an issue, it doesn't really forgive. So if anything that you can develop with the technology and to help in those situations is a big change. And also Formula One running the tech barriers, or how do you call them?
Tech Pro,
Tech Pro barriers. So those help a lot to take a lot of energy out in case of an impact to the barriers.
So you're looking at Kirchmeier, Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier. Bernier with the kind of metallic burnt orange colour on the front of the car. So we can see some of the cars have gone from turn one. I'm going to take a look out of the announcing booth window. I think it's mostly cleared up down there. Yeah, I think the car from the outside line is gone as well. We are right up towards the top of the incredible pit building at Daytona. You're on board with Chuck Whittle now. So you're looking at the rear of Jan Bernier. And here the turbo wastegate as the drivers roll on and off the throttle in these cars. If you're wondering, it's derived from the 296 GTB, the 296 Challenge car is. Almost a 3-litre twin turbo engine, 120 degree V6, 2992 cc's. They take the hybrid component out of the car, just as they do with the GT3 car. But it is still a weapon. Obviously you lose some of the weight there, as well as losing some of the power, but the difference with losing the weight is favourable for a race car in terms of braking, changing direction, and racing generally. Big downforce figures. New brakes came in with this car, new traction control settings as well. So, Tony, it's quite a big step forward, isn't it, the 296 compared to its predecessor?
Yeah, I would say the biggest difference is just the gap between the Challenge car and the GT3 car nowadays. It's easier to go from the 296 Challenge car and then into a world of endurance racing, or any form of racing where you use current GT3 cars and Ferrari 296 GT3. So the brotherhood is closer between these two cars. Also the way they were designed, geometry of the suspension, the choice of brakes, tire compounds, the way the tires work. So big difference. And last year we could see here the comments of the drivers that saying like, this car is something else. Lap times were several seconds faster than the 488 Challenge car. But this was also down to choices made by Ferrari and in which direction to take the Challenge category in general, and what are the targets. So it's very clear path coming from Corso Pilota, then into Club Challenge or Club Competizione GT, and then you go Challenge Racing. And if your passion takes you forward, then you can approach also the world of endurance racing and other GT cars. So it's very, very good way to improve your skills, how to learn with your team, how to improve your skills, how to set up your race car, and what to ask from the race car. So it's very nice.
So they need to put all that knowledge into action now, because the safety car has come back into pit lane, and that means we're about to go green again here in Daytona. Kirchmeier, Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier at the front. Bernier, the biggest mover, he's passed Whittle and Cleveland at the first start. And I think you'll see cars back on the throttle any moment now. And indeed we go in the background. People passed before the white line. Don't know how loud that's going to be, but low on the banking. Jan Bernier moves to defend the inside line. Mitchell Green looks to try and come around the outside. Oh, there's people early and late on the brakes. There is a lot going on the run into turn one. Just misses the tyres on the end of the tyre wall there. I think that was Cleveland who almost collected the tyres on the inside. Some people were very late on the throttle at the restart there.
Yeah, some of the drivers really slept at the restart, so that caused... Whoa, there's some optimistic late moves going into turn one and turn two and so on. I think there's been more contact.
Yeah, wheel off here, so we got to wheel off the front left suspension, so that would have been fairly heavy contact for that to happen, wouldn't it?
I'm assuming it might be... Is it Jeff Nürnberg?
It is, yes, it is Jeffrey Nürnberg. Yeah, it is Jeffrey Nürnberg. So he's parked at the side of the road, and that's not going to be far enough off. If they can get a vehicle out and drag that out of the way quickly, we might get away with it. But Nürnberg with some damage, and that is a shame.
Yeah, we had some tricky moves and tricky moments at the restart because some of the drivers at the formation didn't accelerate when the green flag was shown. And yeah, that looked a bit scary.
Yeah, Nürnberg was the winner of race one at Sonoma when we were there for the first weekend. Are we seeing optimism here? It's late on the brakes again and up the inside. That is fantastically done. What
I think
a move.
It was a double overtake.
It was.
1-2-2.
Jarrett Bilecek. Yeah, Jarrett Bilecek with a double pass. So it's Whittle and Cleveland going backwards here. Bilecek has capitalised just as Jan Bernier did.
Full course yellow again.
Ah, okay. So there we go. Got to get Nürnberg's car out of the way, unfortunately. So the safety car will be deployed again.
Yeah, Jeff's car is parked now in the exit of turn 3. The safety vehicles are going already there. So,
to be fair to Jeff, he did a brilliant job, didn't he, of trying to get it off. He got it off the track, got it offline, almost got it to a gate at the exit there to get the car off to the side, but not quite far enough for us to avoid the full course yellow. So I suppose the big question now here for me is, what do you do at the second restart? Because let's be honest, the first one, a lot of people, as you said, were sleeping, and I think that's fair. We saw some people immediately on the gas and some people who seemed completely surprised. So I guess coaches are on the radio?
Yeah, that's a good call. That was the thing I was about to mention, is now it's also up to the coaches. Coaches are the ones that are on the pit lane. They have the radio communication. Some of them even have a live video, onboard video. So these are the ones that could advise the driver and also call green, green, green on the radio, meaning that then the driver is ready to go on throttle. And it would be everyone's benefit that on the formation, when you are single file, that everybody would accelerate more or less the same time, because if one or two cars don't accelerate, that creates the moment of chaos, because you are concentrated on just going forward, and then suddenly you might see a car that is not going the same speed or the same acceleration. So heads up to all the drivers to be more focused at the next restart.
As well, I felt the pack was moving more slowly than we saw the Trofeo Pirelli guys. And then when you make that acceleration, it's so much more instantaneous. When you're all carrying 100 miles an hour already, the difference isn't so much.
Yeah, the leader is on charge of this. So Kirchmeier, he has the call when to accelerate with the combination of green flag. So normally the rule is to maintain a continuous speed until you see a green flag. And here we see Jeff Nürnberg. Looks like he's okay.
Yeah, it does look like he's okay. I mean, that, you know, don't be too alarmed by that. That can just be the lift back to the paddock on a hot day. Certainly walking and talking himself into the back of his ride back to the paddock. Meanwhile, we're at half race time, and I think we've had two race laps. So for Kirchmeier, I mean, job done in qualifying. You say that, yeah, we felt there were more opportunities potentially to overtake here than Sonoma. now looking at it, the drafting isn't quite so easy as we thought. Actually, qualifying is still really important, but what we haven't seen come into play in either race is the tyre situation of it being a hot track, which is demanding on tyres because of the banking. And that's going to have to play out for tomorrow. And I think that's quite interesting, because I reckon a lot of the teams were banking on knowing from today's data how tomorrow is going to be, and now they're going to go home scratching their heads again, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to miss the data from today and the full race distance. What's been interesting to see today is the initial draft, so the car behind getting a slipstream, getting more speed, going outside, side by side, and then we can see that the car that was overtaken is suddenly picking up more speed, and then the side draft is coming to a play, and now we see that the cars are following the safety car back to the pits. We have a red flag.
So red flag, that is a great shame. So that may mean that they can't recover Nürnberg's car fast enough, or there's some damage out there that is unseen to us, maybe to a track barrier or something.
Or maybe they want to make sure that these cars get more laps and they get a good distance.
Yeah. So you think maybe a restart on the cards potentially for the remaining duration?
Yeah, I would say that right now. Clear the track and then get going.
Okay, so race control have made the decision that the recovery cannot be done within the realms of the race time. Remember, we race for 30 minutes here rather than a set number of laps. That's a good call, because we want to see these guys go racing. A lot of them have come a long way. Well, everybody's come a long way. Even our American friends will have travelled from the other side of the country, and we want them to get there racing in here with Ferrari Challenge. So they'll be sitting in those cars. They're going to be very hot in there, and they'll now be on the radio again, trying to find out from their spotters, who'll be desperately trying to find out from the team managers, who'll be chasing everybody at race control. It's quite a stressful time at the circuit when this happens.
Yeah, there's normally a few minutes of confusion. Who can touch the car? What we can do? Can we adjust the pressures and so on? But I think the message will be quite clear. The car on track is being cleared now, so I assume we go back to racing quickly.
So red flag, what will be the situation? Another rollout lap and then go?
This is up to the race director, to the stewards. What is the call? What is the procedure? They can also send the cars to a formation lap, and then first time by the safety car, if they decide to put the safety car in front, to dive back to the pits, and then we go green.
Kirchmeier fanning the door, just desperately trying to get some fresh air in.
A lot of the drivers have left their cars running, so get some AC, you get some fresh air into the car.
I've heard some brilliant stories about drivers sitting in hot cars in America. I was talking to Tanner Faust, who's a very well-known driver over here, and he said that when they used to have a restart in a race, they would all sit in the car, and it was almost like nobody wanted to open the door and show that they were too hot. So he said everybody's sitting there knowing that they're far too hot, but nobody opens the door because they don't want anybody else to see. So I think the safety car is rolling the cars back out again, so that is good. That's a very short pause. I suppose the problem is it would have been 2 more laps, wouldn't it, potentially gone, and we might only have ended up with 9 minutes of racing, and this way we should get sort of, I reckon, when will they start the clock? Clock is paused on your screens and on our timing screens here at the venue as well. So once they start the clock, that's the countdown. I don't think they'll, they're going to do a recce lap effectively behind the safety car, but I think in theory the safety car can come in at the end of this lap and then you start the clock again. But let's see. Keep an eye on the top left of your screen. Fabian Sperman there, if you're wondering. It's Joe Sposato's race number. Yes, you're correct. That was Joe's number in Sonoma. It's unusual to see a driver run the same number as somebody else at a different event, but it does happen in lots of series. It can be a bit of a race at the start of the year to get your favourite number in. All sorts of series have all sorts of different rules based on who's allowed to pick when and how long they have and how long they've been racing in the series for, were they the champion, etc. All of the Shell and the Shell-Am numbers have a 1 prefix. So, for instance, race leader Ernst Kirchmeier is number 101. So, and there you see 103. Michael Owens, who is currently P2 in Shell-Am. Gabe Hribb is up to P3. So we've got a double yellow being shown out on circuit now, so the timing screens are still showing red flag, and that's triggered by race control. But I think the double yellow means that we are effectively under a full course caution now behind the safety car. Pretty obvious as they're circulating. Here's a replay. That's our leader, Ernst Kirchmeier. Super slow-mo. I loved what you said earlier on. I'm 69, I want to tick my bucket list off, I've got to get a move on. What a way to tick it off, you know, coming here and getting pole. He's brilliant.
And these are the great stories of Ferrari Challenge. He's really enjoying his time here in Daytona, showing a great performance, being a gentleman on track, but at the same time really showing the pace to the other drivers in Coppachel.
Okay. So keep an eye out for Jan Bernier and Jared Bilacek, because both those drivers who are running in P3 and P4, so the orange and blue car and then the white, yellow and blue car, they've passed Cleveland. Viscup has got past Chuck Whittle as well. But also, obviously, on Ernst Kirchmeier and Mitchell Green at the start of the pack. Now, bear in mind, last time Kirchmeier backed the pack up a lot and had everybody going very slowly, and a lot of people were caught napping in the background. But we are about to go racing again at Daytona with 13 minutes 15 remaining on the clock. When is Kirchmeier going to light the touch paper and get this race back underway? He's really backing them up again. He's got them going super slowly. Mitchell Green right in behind, then Bernier, Bilacek, Cleveland, Viscup and Whittle. This was roughly where he went last time. And he does go again this time. 3 or 4 people pulling out the slipstream in the background, but Kirchmeier's got a good start. Mitchell Green goes with him. Jan Bernier in P3 moves to the inside line in the background. Bernier covering off outside. He's trying to stop Bilacek coming through. Bilacek moves to the inside. Somebody from P6, 7, it's either Viscup or Whittle, tries to move around the outside, but gets a little bit mugged in the background over the dirt. Whittle's gone across the dirt there in the chrome-coloured car. So Whittle crossing the dirt on the kinks at turn 2. Bilacek coming under pressure with contact into the rear. Right corner did well to hold on to that. So Jared Bilacek did very well indeed to hold on to that with contact on the exit of turn 3. It was Cleveland with the contact into the side of the car there. So we'll have to see if there's any kind of investigation afterwards. Now he slides out wide. Bilacek looking to get back past Cleveland. Cleveland was up the inside line. Bilacek runs out over the curbs in the background. But Cleveland has the position. Meanwhile, Kirchmeier, Green and Bernier are running in that order, and they go through turn 6 and head back out onto the banking with just over 12 minutes racing left to go.
It was an interesting moving to turn 3. The other car almost went to a spinning mid to exit of the corner, but they both get their feet on the throttle and was able to get the car back going, and luckily we didn't get another situation like that.
Yeah, Bilacek did well to hold on to that, definitely. When you get that contact, you pick it up, you feel it as a slide, you know there's a bang at the start of the slide, and that tells you it's not a slide that you've caused, it's a slide that somebody else has maybe had a hand in. They come through the bus stop chicane at the back of the circuit now. And you're looking at the Coppachel Am standings there. Spurman leading from Owens and Czech. Spurman you're looking at, who is in behind Gary Ott. Spurman looks to the inside. Interesting with the qualifying that you can be really quick in your category and actually end up behind the drivers who are slower in the category in front. I always think that's quite tough from a traffic point of view.
Yeah, and that sometimes may compromise your race a bit because you cannot keep your own rhythm. You have drivers in the front that are in a better or higher category than you, and then you end up fighting with them, and like I said, it may compromise your race. And there the key is just to keep calm and realize who are you racing with.
Oh, Bilecek trying to look around the outside now. Then looks inside, so Bilecek on the inside trying to get a good exit contact between them sideways. 2 bits of contact, 3. Bilecek goes round. Bilecek's going to end up in the barrier backwards. So Bilecek's gone round. He's hit the Armco on the outside, the K-rail as it's called here in the States.
My question is, was it these 2 drivers that had the contact earlier, turn 3?
I'm not sure. We thought it was Whittle.
Because this was quite
Bilecek,
aggressive.
but yeah, it
like
was.
They were going for it.
Payback.
Until it looked like a little bit of payback, or the temperature inside the drivers.
It's high, yeah, almost as high as the track temperature here. So Kirchmeier leads from Mitchell Green and Bernier. We're going to see a replay of it. So this is
1-2-2 has a great racing line coming mid to the exit. He's very tight, but then he doesn't back off. He just stays on throttle. And both of the drivers, they just don't want to separate from each other. Nobody's backing off, and that was the cause of the final result and quite big damage to the right rear.
And when you saw Viscup lift, so when Viscup brake, that's when the other car gets released, isn't it? If the other car brakes and releases the pressure from the car, then we only go. Kirchmeier and Mitchell Green coming down into turn 1. No news so far on whether we're going to go full course yellow or not. So maybe race controllers deem that that car is far enough off the racing line that we can continue to race, which would be fantastic. Chuck Whittle here with Viscup behind. So Whittle must have got through when Viscup had the contact. But we thought it was potentially Whittle that was involved in the initial one. We'll see some replays after us. You're on board with Chuck Whittle now. Through the long left, braking down and up into the hairpin. Roll the throttle on. Don't go on too early. Don't want to get too much wheel spin. Nicely done. Now he comes up to turn 6, tight on the way in, wide on the way out. The track opens up onto the banking. Well, we've passed the point where that car's off track, Tony, so basically it's obviously been decided that we can continue. Oh, we're seeing flag people now. Are we going to see it? Is it a full? It is a full course yellow. I thought we got away with it because we'd passed that point on the track, but unfortunately not to be.
Yeah, I think the racing with the Pirelli showed that there's some tricky places on track, and then now with the Coppa Shell, we just have more action. Few separate incidents that always brought the full course yellow on track, so it's not been easy to the Coppa Shell drivers to get to the rhythm.
No.
In today's race.
Had a restart, had a proper red flag, and then another restart, and yeah, tricky stuff. Ernst Kirchmeier with the fastest lap, with the pole, with the lead. I think with 7 minutes 35 to go, he'll be unlucky now to see that taken away from him. Frustration for Mitchell Green, but on the other hand, you know what? Mitchell Green's championship leader. He didn't have to make that decision, Tony, that you thought he might have to make. Is do I want to prove my dominance here, or am I just happy to let the visitor go? In the end, he hasn't had to think about it.
Yeah, I think it's a clever approach from Mitchell Green's side, because, like we mentioned before the race, he's coming from Sonoma with double win. He had great performance and great pace in qualifying, and this suits his championship really well. Maybe with this final accident, what we saw and caused this full course yellow, there is something for the stewards to check, because in my mind there was some sort of aggression going on track that maybe was not necessary, because we saw some moments going into the hard braking zones where drivers either lost their control, misjudged a little bit, but this was more side by side, door to door action that then ended up with the other car losing control and then hitting the barrier. So let's see if Stewards has something to say about this.
I think the stewards might have a fair bit of paperwork to fill out later on today. I've always said I think it's the personally I think it's the toughest job at the track, being a steward.
Yeah, I'm not keen on penalties. I'm not keen on penalizing drivers, because we have a beautiful sport and there's always a lot of things around it. And like you said, it's not an easy task either to control what we have in the world of endurance racing, balance of performance,
Yeah.
Sometimes feels like it's against you. Sometimes you go like we have the fastest car, but you obviously know that something was helped also with the balance of performance that is judged and decided by the organizers. And the other thing is behavior on track. If you have an accident, you might have two completely different opinions and on which side you put the word on, and if there is penalties. And without 30-minute race is always very difficult. If you in the race have a drive-through penalty, that basically means that your race is over. Maybe sometimes we could study 3 or 5 second penalties, but these are bigger questions and bigger stuff to decide. But definitely not an easy day or easy race with the Copa Shell for the stewards.
No, for sure. I think they'll be taking a look at some of our replays as well themselves. A lot of these circuits as well have their own CCTV systems where they monitor all the corners individually. So where you guys see the TV feed, it can be that they have their own system where they can then rewind and have a look. And it's not, the pictures are not as beautiful as you get on television, but there's certainly enough for a steward to have a good look.
Yeah, onboard videos, the CCTV, each corner, different angles, camera angles. They tell you the truth. Also telemetry, seeing that if somebody said that I lifted or I didn't turn the steering wheel, you can see everything. You can
see if they did or not.
You can see everything. So
that gets requested, doesn't it, to the teams. The teams also have to carry what's called a judicial camera in the car, which captures the data. To be honest with you, all of these cars now have data collection anyway.
Yeah.
So they've got their own data collection within the 296, but then lots of people are running a GPS system, aren't they, where they can map their own laps and the G-forces and the inputs separately. And we are heading on to the final lap with a full course yellow, so that does mean that we'll be finishing this one as we did the Trofeo Pirelli, unfortunately. We'll be peeling off into the pit lane at the end of the race. So there we go. That's the way it goes. Hopefully we'll have some cleaner racing tomorrow. I think it's been a bit unlucky.
Yeah, but also learning curve. You need to learn from the mistakes. Drivers do learn how to approach the starts, the restarts, where to overtake and where not to overtake, and not to touch other drivers, send them into a spinning off the track. So also learning curve. Racing doesn't forgive a lot. If you do a mistake, often the results are quite obvious. So a little bit of margin of improvement for tomorrow.
I think that's very fair. A little bit of a margin for improvement. Well, there you go then. Ernst Kirchmeier racing in the USA for the first time, got the pole and will get the win. Look, he'd have liked to have done it, of course, at the checker flag, but the checker flag's still going to wave as he crosses over the checkered line here at Daytona. So Kirchmeier will take the win from Mitchell Green. Mitchell Green will be happy with a P2 in terms of points and his standings for the season. Jan Bernier with a P3. Bernier doing a great job to make up a couple of positions. Of course, Jarrett Bilecek had done the same thing. So Bilecek, who was P3 in the standings, look, with a fifth and a third from the previous round. Bernier, actually, yeah, Bernier had 2 P2s in Sonoma. So Jan Bernier to get P3 here is great for the standings. Bilecek, where he'd moved up a couple of positions, he's kind of the biggest loser from a championship point of view, unfortunately. Not only has he ended in the wall, but he's going to miss some points. He'll be disappointed with that, and it was great to see him race. We want to see people race, don't we? We want to see people go for it. And he made up some positions.
Yeah, and we want to see great stories, people do success on track. Obviously, today's demonstration wasn't easy for many of the drivers.
No, sadly not. Through the bus stop chicane at the backside of the circuit for the last time. Fabian Sperman leads the Shell-Am category from Steve Czech and Gabe Hrib, and obviously that won't be changing now as they roll around to the finish. And that's it, rolling into pit lane. So Kirchmeier ends his debut in the pit lane, but with a win from Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier. That's the top 3 cars you can see here. Bruce Cleveland is 4th, Chuck Whittle is 5th. Viscup, Evans and Gaio are the top 8. And then Sperman, Czech and Hrib, Owens, Kozira, Herfield and Herfield. Husband and wife team finishing Stephanie in front of Matt down in P19 and P20. And they are, where are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th and 7th in Shell-Am. See the flag waver there at the finish line. Spectacular flag waving over here. I have to say, we do flag waving in the States better than we do it in Europe. Bit of spectacle. And we're getting the cars into Parc Fermé and ready to go to the podiums. Ernst Kirchmeier pulls in the 101. Can now climb out of what will be a very hot 296 Challenge car. Twin Cities Performance is his team. I wonder what they will have thought when they got a phone call from an Austrian guy saying, I want to come and race in America for the weekend. Of course, they'll be able to look at his previous results and know that he's handy. But to take the pole and the win and the fastest lap is that's 3 things on the bucket list, isn't it, you mentioned?
Yeah, and it's a great experience, great performance. He's done a good job since the practice, and obviously in qualifying he was the driver that maybe he was on it for a little bit longer. Mitchell Green maybe was a bit optimistic with his pole, provisional pole, and then Kirchmeier took it away, and we kept the same order with the top drivers from the start to the checkered flag. For sure, we have a very happy winning driver.
Yeah. Brilliant, look at that, isn't that fantastic? First time they work with the team, they don't even know how to celebrate together yet. You know, they don't know each other that well, do they? They've not. Look at this, yes! Get in, get on even. He's going for it. Oh, he's going for the roof. Come on now, this is what we do. Yes, top of your roof in Daytona on your debut in America. Ernst Kirchmeier, take a bow carefully now as you come down off the roof. We've got a whole nother day to do this again tomorrow. I like that. I like that. Kirchmeier just committed to it. Says Fabian Sperman here, hugging family and crew. Now being given his instructions. Don't forget your gloves, put your helmet here. We need to weigh this later. We've got to do this with scrutineering, and everybody heading down towards the podiums, which are down in Victory Lane. Right, let's take a look at the results then. Ernst Kirchmeier takes the win from Mitchell Green and Jan Bernier. Cleveland and Whittle went backwards for a little while. Bernier managed to get through, and then there were those incidents that dropped other drivers back, and they ended up 4th and 5th. Viscup and Evans 6th and 7th. Gaio and Lennon in 8th and 9th. Fabian Sperman takes the win in Chelan with P10 overall. It's Alberto Duran, P2 and P3 for Chelan, Steve Check and Gabe Hibb. Then it's Gary Ott, Michael Owens, Melissa Kozera, Brian Walterstorff, Andrew Parker and Stephanie Herfield. Matthew Herfield just behind his wife out on track. Henry Hummel, Lance Corley, Danny Patel. Danny Patel getting the finish. That's cool. So Danny Patel gets a finish on his debut race here at his home track. Met him yesterday. Lovely guy. Super excited to be racing here. Al Heggie. Jared Pilacek is classified P25. Pilacek was right up there. Did some fantastic racing, and then unfortunately it all went awry at the end of the race. Those are your finishers down there to P36. Podium time then. The guys are heading in. It's right to the side of this little road here, behind these barriers. Yeah, great to see. Look, you've got to get the pictures in. Got to get the pictures in. Hugs all round. And they get to do it all again tomorrow, so don't forget to join us tomorrow. We'll be live at about 09:30 Eastern time for qualifying. Sunday schedule is always slightly earlier than Saturdays. And you see families and crews and everybody else coming up into the podium area. I'm going to take a look at the points. Now then, for Copper Shell, and let's see who's been the shakers and movers in this one. So Mitchell Green came here with a lead of 9 points. He's ahead of Jan Bernier and Bilacek. Beautiful scenes here in Daytona. And your Shell-Am Championship. Gabe Hribb leading from Michael Owens and Paul Lynn. So Paul Lynn, who was leading the standings, is now down in P3, with Hribb moving up from second to the lead. Well, there we go. Day one done. Tricky, I think. Interesting to me that in qualifying there was absolutely no issue whatsoever, and then come the racing, you know, we said there was a lot to learn for a lot of these drivers. It's a brand new venue. It's a different kind of venue. It's a speedway. This is a legendary place, and you know, you got to learn it.
Yeah, we were not here with the 296 cars last year, and this was the first racing day. We had some contacts. We had great performance in qualifying. We seen a lot of speed during the practice, but the race approved a little bit of contacts, few full course yellows and cautions. So hopefully for tomorrow we have a little bit of less this kind of action. But overall, I would say we had beautiful weather, we had great and beautiful cars on track, so it was great to see the action.
Nina Jade is with Fabian Spearman right now. Let's hear from him.
Oh, Fabian, what a fantastic race from you. You converted that pole to a win. How are you feeling, my friend?
Very happy. I mean, it was a great weekend. I'm here training the whole week. I did the pole, but of course you have to race and do your job on the race. It was a couple of yellow flags and restart. Very demanding, but hey, I did it. Yeah, we're very happy.
How did you manage the yellow flags?
Sorry?
Was it stressful, all the yellow flags?
Yeah, the restart of the race is like you have to reset and start again, and it's I prefer to race instead of doing. But the last yellow flag was good because I was in front and we finished the race. But the restart is a very stressful, but I managed to do it.
Well, congratulations, great job.
Thank you. To my family.
To my family, that's lovely to hear. The guys had a great time. He's taken the win. Happy to get it done under tricky circumstances. There we are. A little bit of wind here in Daytona, but I say it is a beautiful day. We had a thunderstorm yesterday. Nina Jade. Let's go down to Nina Jade in...
Ernest, you got on your car to celebrate. You celebrated in style, my friend. How are you feeling after that win?
Unbelievable, amazing. Daytona's such a famous racetrack, and I had the pole position and I won the race. It's unbelievable. It's really a dream becomes true. Outstanding for me.
Well, congratulations, you deserve it. Celebrate tonight, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Got the fastest lap as well. He neglected to mention that, so I'm sure he's not been told yet, but it's the full house. Nice one. There is the famous flag in the background. And the famous Daytona wall as well. Nobody up in that wall. We had a few people in the walls on the infield, and I think we thought maybe prior to the race that it would be the banked corners that would cause the problems. But not so. We're going to show the podiums. So if you want to stick around for the podiums, you're more than welcome. I say if you're just somebody who wants to be here for the racing, then please do join us again tomorrow at 09:30 Eastern Time, when we'll be going qualifying for the 4 categories in Ferrari Challenge North America. Trofeo Pirelli and Pirelli Am, and Copper Shell and Copper Shell Am as well. 2 more races tomorrow, and hopefully some lessons learned for the drivers. I think the engineers, not as many lessons learned as they wanted. They're missing some of the data that they thought they might be getting from today. So, yeah, still more to do tomorrow. So stick around if you'd like to see the podiums. We'll be covering those very shortly. Tony, we've got some cars down in pit lane that are about to head out on track. Obviously, they're not part of the Ferrari Challenge series, but they're still great fun to watch. I have to say, the quick stuff was out on track at Sonoma.
Yeah, next session on track will be Club Competizione GT. It's actually a format of Ferrari activities which I've been following for the last 4 to 5 years. So we have 488 GT Modificata, which is unrestricted 488 GT car. Very fast, very powerful race car. And with the mix of current and former GT cars that did national, international, the biggest events in the world, including Le Mans 24, Sebring 12 Hours. So we have 488 GTLM cars, we have GT3 cars, we have even the latest model 296 GT3 on track. And this is not a race, it's not even a timed session, but it's an opportunity for the car owners to drive and test their skills, improve, and it's another format that may bring these drivers one day to be the racing drivers, either in Ferrari Challenge or straight in the GT categories. So a lot of activities normally with the Ferrari weekends. Occasionally we have the older Formula One cars.
Miami, where we go next.
Yeah, we have the FXX program where there is beautiful...
They're the track-only spec cars, aren't they, for people at home who are not familiar?
Yes, and cars with over 1,000 horsepower. And like I said, a lot of activities, a lot of things to see on track with these Ferrari weekends. Not only Ferrari Challenge, which obviously is great to see the racing, but there's beautiful, beautiful cars on track.
So we're about to do the podiums here from Daytona, but before we do, let's take a quick look back at the podiums from Sonoma at round 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium presentation for the second round of Ferrari Challenge North America at Daytona International Speedway. Delighted to have you here with us today, and we're ready to get started now and bring out our first winners of the day. We will begin with the presentation for the winners of the 296 Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli class. Please welcome, in third place, Johnny Kaminsky. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium presentation for the second round of Ferrari Challenge North America, coming to you from Daytona International Speedway. We're delighted to have you all here with us today. Up on stage, we have the 296 Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli drivers.
All right, and continuing our podium celebration now with the Trofeo Pirelli and Flash Podium. Let's welcome in third place, A. Bugio. In second place, Jay Logan, and our winner, Chris Cagnacci. Congratulations, drivers, and now let's please remove our caps for our winner's national anthem. Congratulations, drivers! And now I'd like to please introduce previous Time Attack winner and actor Nicholas Holt to the podium, please, to present the trophies to our winners. now I'd like to please invite once again Lucio Vergani from our partners at Pirelli to present the Pirelli Award to our winner, Chris Cagnazzi. All right, and we'll now please the representative from Ferrari of Long Island, Jonas at the podium, to accept the Copa Team Award. Once again, presented by Nicholas Holt. Congratulations, drivers. Let's take those trophies and raise them high. Trophies up. And now, once again, the champagne. For our winner's national anthem. Continuing our podium celebration now, I'd like to invite, please, Ivana Baroni from Ferrari North America to the podium, please, to present the trophies to our winners. Congratulations, drivers, and now let me please invite a representative from Twin Cities Performance to the podium, please, to accept the Copa Team Award. Once again, presented by Ivana Baroni. Congratulations, drivers. Let's please take those trophies and raise them high. Trophies up. And once more, the champagne.
Smells like victory, boys.
third place, Gabe Ribbs. In second place, Steve Check, and our winner, Fabian Sperman. And I'd also like to welcome, please, our Ladies' Cup winner, Melissa Cozier, and our Gentlemen's Cup winner, Lance Colley, to the podium, please. Congratulations, drivers. And now let's please remove our caps for our winner's national anthem. Congratulations, drivers, and now I'd like to please introduce Carlotta Brozza from Ferrari North America to present the trophies to our winner. Congratulations, drivers. And now, please, I'd like to invite a representative from the collection to accept the Copa Team Award. Once again, presented by Carlotta Brozza. Congratulations, drivers. Let's get those trophies high, trophies up. And for the final time today, the champagne.
Well, there we are. Thank you very much for sticking around for the podiums, and we hope you enjoyed day one here of round two of Ferrari Challenge North America from Daytona International Speedway. Definitely some lessons to be learned by the engineers and the drivers ahead of tomorrow when we get to do it all again. My thanks to Nina Jade Poole reporting from pit road, to the excellent Tony Villander alongside me here in the announcing booth. My name's Andrew Coley, and we will see you all tomorrow at 09:30 Eastern Time. Take care, guys. See you then.